Hi YouTube. I haven't done a video in about a month, and as you can see, I'm not set up to do a video today. Right now it's Saturday night. I'm doing research for my new book. I have all these other books out here, and I got my notebook and all my stuff that I'm working on and all my information out, and I wanted to just throw together a quick little rant. Maybe this will come off as a lecture. I was gonna do it as an Instagram live, but I think it might be useful to you, so I'd rather it just be around here forever. Okay, here are my thoughts. There is a new economy that's being formed by all the different types of businesses that are coming into the marketplace and have already come into the marketplace based on this new idea of the sharing, the community, and the peer-to-peer aspect of services. So this is what's called the informal economy. Uber is a great example. You know, there is this idea that because there are all these new services that allow us to like share rides, to share our houses like Airbnb, to split our time up and do little tasks here and there, like people are delivering DoorDash or Grubhub, Uber Eats, these are food delivery services, or even people who do Amazon deliveries. There's this idea that because there are all these new jobs being created by these new platforms, that these platforms actually add to the growth of the economy. And this informal economy, this economy of this gig economy, essentially is what it's called in other places, is by some people seen to indicate a sign of growth. It's creating more opportunities, right? That's the common rhetoric. But I'm not sure I believe that. I believe that the gig economy, that the informal economy actually concentrates the power of the economy into what we're essentially creating into a new super elite, right? Because if you think about it, all the money and all the control of these networks and these community sharing, platforms are going to now the super elite group of people who own and operate these systems, right? And so what it's actually doing is in opposition to the traditional economy, which we all are very familiar with, where they have, if you're a professor, you have tenure. If you're a factory worker, you have a pension. If you have a career that lasts for your entire lifetime, you have stability in the financial marketplace. And in opposition to that, now what we have is we have a community and a world of workers that unless they take control into their own hands, unless we take control into our own hands, what's happening is this new super elite of companies is essentially breaking up our time, which is our most valuable resource, and breaking up the amount of money that we can make into small little parcels, small little increments. And of course, there is the benefit of being able to squeeze in some of these, or squeeze in some of our time using some of these new platforms to create a small amount of money here and there. But I think that we're confusing the idea of there being more opportunity with the fact that what's really happening is we're not really creating wealth the same way we used to. And this is pretty obvious. If you look at the way that that the economy has grown and the way that the curve is being created now, the gap between elite 1% and even the 5% here, and then complete poverty is growing exponentially, and middle class is being shrunken out. I mean, me, where I live in West LA, the middle class is you have to be rich to be in the middle class now. You need to be a millionaire to have like a really nice house. I was just joking with one of my friends because he puts his daughter through a private preschool, and it costs $20,000 for his daughter to go through this preschool, and it's almost like you need financial assistance, right? If you're making six figures just to complete, just to have a normal existence in the middle class that would have cost $50,000 a year, X amount of years ago. And of course, I'm in a very population dense, high rent, high income area of the United States and area of the world in general. But this is a trend that we're seeing across many different cultures. And the interesting thing is that while we think, a lot of people think that the gig economy, that this informal economy is a good thing, and we think that having all these different places that you can make money is a good thing, a lot of developing economies actually want to go back to the old model of traditional economy. They're actually working towards getting towards the traditional economy. See, if you go to somewhere like India or other countries where they're developing this true financial stability, or they're trying to develop it, this gig economy has been around in other countries for, decades, if not centuries. The idea of just working a little bit here and there and never really having consistency or enough to actually make something, to make traction. So what's happening is the gap of middle class, but between poverty and upper class is increasing exponentially, and the middle class is shrinking. And in response to that, entrepreneurship is the new gateway, right? We look at entrepreneurship now not just as something that is a fun idea or something that could be potentially useful. It's actually the road out of this shrinking middle class, because now we see that the economy as it is, and by the way, the people that run these big companies, I don't necessarily see them as evil. I don't see the people that run Uber or Lyft or even Facebook as intrinsically evil. I see it more as the way that the economy is set up now, because of the fact that we are automating so many things, because of the fact that we're trying to share these different resources, and all the real capital is going towards just a few big companies, and all the resources are being channeled towards a few, elite, super elite individuals, while we're all trying to find where we fit in. I don't view, though, the super elite as evil, but what I see is that the way the economy is changing in general means that entrepreneurship is going to have to be our vehicle out of this. We're going to have to learn not to look for jobs in the gig economy and try to, have 5 hustles if we want stability now. We're gonna have to look for ways to create our own ecosystem for ourselves and our family and our communities that isn't dependent on a few super hubs parceling out jobs for us to do, with our time. I have some notes here that I was writing down. One of the things that this correlates to really well is called hysteresis, which is like an engineering term, and basically it just means, hysteresis is like the idea that the effect precedes the cause by a lag time. There's a lag time. So we see all these ride sharing, these house sharing, these communitarianism, I don't know if that's a word, communitarianism apps, almost as a way to like a digital socialism, and we think that might be a good thing, but the effect of that distribution of all of our time and our resources across these networks actually has a poor effect on the economy over time, and we're not going to see that until we're well into this gig economy and it's too late to reverse the trend. So this is something to keep in mind. And really what's driving all of this is big data, right? The companies that have control over the networks and who are building these networks in order to create more of these opportunities for people really are doing all of this through big data, and they're shrinking not just the middle class, like the consumer end, but they're also shrinking the competition between them and other companies which are normally giving out jobs to the middle class. So for instance, you look at Amazon, in the early 1990s, Amazon was a startup, and they were seen as very innovative because they were one of the first companies to really start using big data in order to make decisions about how they wanted to run the business. And when I say like make decisions, I don't necessarily mean how they were going to sell to consumers. That came later. They used big data first to analyze their competition, and they used basically supply chain optimization. So they would look at everything, every piece of every piece of the process from, you know, like ordering a book and where the manufacturers would send from and how much it would cost at each stage and how long it would take to get from one place to another and all the logistics. And they would look at all those steps and they would see statistically the average cost of every stage, and they would see the time and the duration, and they would look at how much each step costs, and they would go to each vendor, each manufacturer, each, you know, service provider at each individual stage, and they would negotiate their prices down just to the level based on all their statistics and research and based on the data where they were going to get better margins and they were going to get better prices for consumers. So what happened was they used this data in order to essentially completely crush their competition, because not only were they completely crushing the competition in terms of what the price they could deliver to their consumers, but they were also completely increasing their margins, so they were making much more than their competitors on each sale, and that's how they're able to slowly over time crush all these different industries. And that's just big data being used. So what that does is, what does it do? It puts other companies out of business. Those other companies were employing lots of people in the middle class, just like you see middle managers in a lot of companies are leaving because middle managers are the ones that typically were doing administrative tasks, and now we have computers and data and algorithms to handle a lot of that, right? The companies like Amazon use big data to essentially wipe out lots of companies, you know, thousands and thousands of companies that were employing people in the middle class. So not only did they wipe out those companies, but the big data itself then, from the other end, is then being used to create these, you know, these gig economies where it's now employing people piecemeal, and they're not actually getting a solid wage. There's not actually a way to create solid wealth, but they're just they're dividing up people's time using these sharing platforms. So now you can see how some of these platforms, based on just how their intrinsic nature, are making it harder to make money, harder to become wealthy because of the way they're dividing up the economy. And on the other hand, they're creating monopolies, and they're killing the companies that would employ the people who now need these big data companies to then give them jobs, right? So this is what's happening in the economy, and it's on us then to, seeing this, you watching this, become the entrepreneur that, at least for you and your community, for your people, for your family, create something of value where you can exist inside of your own force field of prosperity, essentially, to combat this, because this is what's happening with the economy. This is how it's shifting. So these are some of the ideas I'm talking about. I'm working on a new book called Wielding Power. This will be, I'll finish it, you know, well, whenever I finish it, and you'll hear more about it. But this is some of the stuff I've been thinking about, talking about. This is a lecture. I don't have a shirt. I want to drink my tea now. I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to throw this up, but I thought you might enjoy it. So that's what I got for you. Love, peace. Subscribe to this channel. I'll be putting up more videos soon. The reason why I haven't been putting up videos is because I've been editing some. Well, we just got back from Bali for Ascent, which is our high-level mastermind for 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs with my company Alpha Mentorship, and we have some crazy videos that are going to blow your mind. And I just haven't felt like uploading anything recently. Like, you know, sometimes I just don't feel like it. You know, I know that the algorithm works better if I upload consistently all the time, and my advice to you would be to upload consistently because that's going to get you the best results. But for me, you know, sometimes I just don't feel like creating, and I have to go back into my cave and figure out what I want to say. I don't want to just talk just to talk. So hopefully this was something where you can see I've been working on new ideas that are going to bring you some value and spark some ideas in you. So subscribe if you haven't, because I got more ideas coming your way. Check out Alpha Mentorship if you haven't, at Alpha Mentorship on Instagram, at Daniel DiPiazza on Instagram. Much love. Leave in the comment what these ideas about the informal economy, the gig economy mean to you, and how you're going to use entrepreneurship to change your trajectory and the trajectory of those you care about and those around you. All right. Much love. I'm out of here. Peace.